It's factually correct.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to another Blether with. I feel a little bit of deja vu this week because I was on chatting last night as well. Nothing to do with the Blether, but it was great to see some familiar faces. Ian and Dave, who watched last night, are already on YouTube. These YouTubers are very time oriented, aren't they? It's like
They're very
you have to be
punctual.
there, bang on. We're already behind. Ian's cheating a little bit. 6:57. He's jumped on there to say hello. So anyway, how are you?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
There's nobody else here.
I thought you were talking to Ian, to be honest. I was waiting for his reply. How are you, Ian? I'm good, thank you. Just keeping busy. It's tourist season, so we are busy with the peoples, but it's good. It's all good.
Yeah, you're flat out when we popped in. That's good.
Flat out like a Duke's fit.
Like a Duke's fit.
Fair
I
for
was
fun.
doing a BNI, a business network meeting the other day, and we have this new member who's from England, and she's been thrown into the Northeast and all these businesses getting together, having a chat, and so she's not quite getting the Doric yet. So my pitch had that exact phrase: flat out like a Duke's fit.
Flat out like a Duke's fit.
Yeah,
It's one of my
favorite. What she thinks that means when she comes on.
I'm very well, thank you, Ian. Thank you for asking.
Excellent. Ed has got Windswept Wolf beer in one glass and Kilcoman Macker Bay in the other.
Nice.
Well, in honor of tonight's guest, I have picked up a couple of Islas, since that's where I met Leanne. So what we're going to do is bring her on, and no, I do not want to do a system update right now. I'm a little bit busy for that. Let's just get rid of that. Okay, let's bring Leanne on and say hello.
Hey, Sandra, y'all.
Splendid. Good evening or good afternoon.
It's afternoon. It's right after 1 o'clock here over in Louisiana in the States. And so this is a really great way to break the day up. So thanks for letting me come on and say hey and get to see you again and get to meet Kat.
Yeah.
Lovely to meet you.
So, so welcome to our Blether. Hopefully you can understand most of what we're saying. I'm sure your subtitles will be auto-generated far better than ours, to be honest.
I don't know. My Southern accent evidently plays well over there and just as well as yours does over here. We love hearing how you all speak. And I've had a couple of comments about I can turn mine up just pretty.
You need
pretty
to. It's
sugary if I need to get into the southernness, But otherwise, I try to talk a little straighter.
Yeah, you reminded me there when you did that of the what's the guy in The Simpsons called?
Cletus.
Cletus, yeah.
Cletus. I can't. I just can't.
According to my friend Roy, the Aquavite, his daughters thought I sounded like the Princess Frog's sidekick.
Yes.
Charlotte.
Yes.
And I told him, like, my life is now complete. I am a Disney princess sidekick. This is the pinnacle of my life. It's awesome.
It's the first thing that came to my head, and I was thinking, like, Louisiana was it was what's it called? Is that the Frog and the Princess?
Yeah, the Frog Princess. Yeah. That's a great show, and actually pretty accurate to where we live, and the whole swamp scene and everything.
Nice. Well, this is the closest I've got to being a Disney princess.
Oh, yes. The best kind of malt whiskey.
Yeah, that's as close as I'll get to being in any Disney movie, unless there's a...
I don't have any Disney princess connections. I'm lacking. I'm going to have to come up with them.
You just got a new hairdo. Is that not Disney-esque enough? Yeah.
You could be Belle. I could see you as Belle from the Beauty and the Beast. Yeah.
You're now my favorite person in the world. I'll take that. I always wanted to be Ariel when I was a little girl. It was like my ambition in life to be Ariel. Half fish, half person. Weird ambition.
Was Belle Beauty and the Beast?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay. I'm just making sure you're not thinking of me as the Beast here.
No.
You're my sidekick, the beast, or the wee
I'll
teapot.
I'll be floundered or something like that.
That's funny. That's funny.
Dominic's got his Disney grumpy tea on.
Oh, we're all
As much as I'm sure you would love to sit and talk Disney all night, I'm going to move on to whiskey. I think the guys
Yeah,
are
let's do that.
Mark J, who's watching, Leanne is everybody's favorite person. There we go. There's high praise indeed from Mark.
He's a good buddy of mine, also from Louisiana. Yeah, but from the other end of the state. So, hey, friend, good to see you here.
And something we have a couple of guys who come on. I'm not sure if Felix or Rick are going to join us there in America as well, San Francisco, I think.
Okay.
So if they're joining on, but he normally joins on, it's 11 o'clock there.
Yeah.
I just can't get my head around the fact that there's this country that has about 6 different time zones. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So many different
bizarre.
weathers.
Yeah.
Like desert in one state and like snow in another state. And
Oh, absolutely.
crazy, isn't it?
Well, I was telling, so I'm gonna see Caitlin, who we met at the academy. I was telling her she's coming over to meet me in Edinburgh to go to a function, and I was telling her I saw Jennifer, who we were at the academy with in Houston, Texas, and I was like, sorry, I couldn't get back to Caitlin on text. I was driving, and it was almost 6 hours, and she's like, I could be to London in 6 hours, and I'm like, yeah, that's nothing for us. We were just like, get in the car and go,
I know. I always think that. When I was going to Carol, I was going to say, because when I'm not working for Mike, I'm a distillery tour guide, and Americans will come in and you'll say, where are you off to next? And they'll literally be like, yes, we're going to do Edinburgh and then Glasgow and then Inverness, and then we're just going to go down to London, and then we're going to get, we're going to fly out. And you're like, whoa, like, British people will do that in a week. Like Americans will just do it in like, a day, just because it's like normal to have such big distances.
I was down doing a tour the other day, 2 weeks ago, I think it was. And these guys were picked up from Glen Eagles to go to Macallan. And I was like, that's a 2.5 hour drive. There's loads of distilleries on your doorstep. We could do, 4 or 5 of them. Like, no, we're going to Macallan. I said, fair enough. So I had to drive down 2 hours, drive up 2.5 hours. But 5 hours of their day was traveling to get there. It's crazy. It's something I always say to Americans and you guys. It's like, in Scotland, we think 100 miles is a long way. But you guys think 100 years is a long time.
Exactly. Exactly. That's so true. My husband does metal detecting, and and so and we're in the deep South. So I mean, there are Civil War battlefields, from 1860s around here, and when they find something there, they get really excited. Meanwhile, in your backyard, Roman coin, big deal. And it's like, what, a Roman coin? I mean, we just don't have the depth of history, of course, that you do. And I think that's one of the things that's so appealing to Americans when we do come over there, because America, by definition, is a melting pot. It's very much where all the ruffians were just tossed off to, because even like in the Carolinas, where a lot of both sides of my family have origins in the Carolinas and Scotch Irish, ancestry from that area. They were, my grandmother didn't want to tell my mom what part of our lineage came from, because she knew that we came from the penal colonies of North Carolina. Well, it's because people had to pay for their passage to get over here some way, and they were basically indentured slaves or servants to that. But my grandmother, all these generations past, didn't want anybody to know. And it's like, well, what can you do about it, So it's interesting to then go back or go to a place where, your family has its origin story, if you will. If I go to the East Coast, I see things that are colonial, from the 1700s. And I'm like, wow, this is the beginning of our country. How neat. And Boston, especially, is one of the places I love to go down. But then I'm walking in Edinburgh and there's things that are practically medieval. It's just like, it's hard to wrap my brain around something that old,
Yeah. Different lives, isn't it? Different. I'm not sure if there's too much Roman artifacts up our way. They didn't stick around our neck of the woods very long before they.
We were too tough for them. Maybe drove them off.
They saw y'all and kept running, I bet. Hey, Hamish. Good to see you. Yeah, so what are we drinking?
Hamish is in Inverness. Yeah. Well, let me know what you've got in your glass. And the guys at home, what have you got? I noticed Dominic is on his Glenallachie 12. Got the bug after last night's wee tasting with Ronan. And Ed Friday has just about recovered from last night's Glenallachie tasting. So what are you recovering with, Ed? And everyone else that's watching, what are you drinking tonight? Or if it's in the afternoon, what are you drinking this afternoon? So, yeah, what are you pouring?
So this is going to be my first trip to Speyside and to even the northeast kind of part of the Highlands. So I am, this was one of my first introductions. It's the 16 that's now discontinued for us of Glen Grant. And I absolutely adore this bottle. So I'm going to start off with that.
Yeah, it's one of the fruitiest whiskies in kind of that pear drops and boiled sweets kind of note, if I remember. But it's been a while since I had a Glen Grant, an official bottle of Glen Grant.
So you say pear drops and boiled sweets, two phrases I had to learn what were. I was like, this smells like hard candy. And it's like, oh, that's boiled sweets. Okay.
Yeah. Same thing.
I was saying this to somebody the other day, though, when they were talking about like tasting notes and things and about how it's so subjective. Like, if you've got 3 or 4 different people from different countries, you're all going to have your own version of a flavor that somebody else is not familiar with. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just, it's something you've got in your country that other people aren't aware of. So,
yeah, absolutely.
What have you got tonight, Mike?
I don't know what I'm going to start with this one. So because I met Leanne in Islay, we're going to go. I'm going to focus on Islay tonight. So we had this at a tasting a wee while ago. It's an 18-year-old Lefroy. So I'm going to have that tonight to start with. And we've got another couple of Islas, but they're a bit more potent on the peat. So I'm going to warm up with this lovely little drop.
I took a really good picture of you at Lefroy. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was my profile pic for a long time. Standing out on the setting.
I'll make you pour me a dram when I see you next week for my royalty using my picture.
I will do that. Absolutely. You will be more than welcome to a dram.
Yeah, it was great. It was like this backlit. He was right by the water and that big cask that they have outside the gift shop. And it was a great pic.
That's a bottle kill too. Yeah.
Awesome.
Popped in there. So, Kat, what are you on?
Well, I was going with the American theme. So I have got a virgin oak from a undisclosed Highland distillery. I'm not going to mention its name. So it is from...
Can anyone guess which one that's from? Anyone at home guess what the undisclosed distillery that Kat's drinking from is?
So it's Kentucky. So it's white American oak grown in Kentucky. So I have Kentucky and I have Missouri and I should have a Minnesota somewhere, but I cannot find it. These are both really high. They're both like 61.6. So we'll start with that and we'll see if we get on to the other ones.
Awesome.
Cool.
The American trilogy, wasn't it?
The American trilogy from an undisclosed Highland distillery. Yes, Ian Bruce, you are right.
Terrible at keeping secrets. So we have a running theme. So Kat also has another job in whiskey, and we always end up talking a little bit about it.
I don't.
We do a lot of cool
always
stuff.
Brought up by somebody else.
So we have a theme that if Kat mentions said distillery, everyone gets to take a dram or take a sip. It's just a little bit of a drinking game.
That's a nice drinking game.
It's not me that mentions it. It's always somebody else. So yeah, we'll see who slips up tonight.
That's funny.
Who have we got here? Highland Hamish loved the Lefroy flight in the visitor centre, £35 for 4 drams. Yeah. So for the guys who don't know, I met Leanne at the Islay Whisky Academy back in 2019, and we were truly spoiled to some excellent tastings. But Lefroy for me was one of, I think Lefroy and Ardbeg were probably the two that really stood out for me. The Ardbeg experience was phenomenal. You had your own personal experience there. You did a bit of lobster fishing, didn't you?
Yeah.
Nice.
That was real cool.
So do you want to tell the guys who are watching a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Scotch in the Bayou? Because I dare say you're still not broken down a lot of our guests' knowledge barriers. Although it's really popular in Scotland, but maybe not in the Northeast. So
that's true. Yeah, I'd love to. Just kind of my whiskey journey is still very new. I went over in 2016 just to tour Scotland. I did a solo trip. Didn't have all my accommodations. I was just like free and wild. I'm going to get in the car. I'm going to drive and see where I go. Yeah, that was maybe some of my smartest moves. Almost had to sleep in my car on Jura, but it worked out. I found a place. It was all good. But yeah, so I just wanted to go and experience Scotland. I was going to Jura for a music festival in September. And of course, to get there, you had to get to this other island called Islay and then take another ferry to Jura. So before that, I ended up in Oban. And I, by trade, I'm a technical writer. So we work primarily on engineering documents. I work for a controls company. So many of which is the same type of controls that are used in distilleries now that I start noticing those things, So I went to Oban. I was like, how in the world do three things, water, yeast, barley, put it in an oak barrel and it's supposed to be orange and honey and vanilla. Like, how does that happen? Because I love to know about process. So that's what I wanted to do. So I did that tour. And at the end, and I shared with you before we went on, bourbon is not my main calling. It's very sweet to me on the palate and probably did not have the best at a particular time. I was introduced to bourbon, we'll say. I've now learned to like some other, bourbons that are much higher in quality. So I went to the tasting, of course, and there was this very crusty Scot that was leading our tour. And I was like, this tastes like bourbon, and had my first sip. And that sip changed the trajectory of my life. I mean, now that I look back on it, it was unbelievable. And by the time I'd gotten through the tasting, I was like, I have found my drink. I had before, I was just like, I had a job where I had to be around and like host clients and be around clients a lot too. And I would just go with the vodka and orange juice. Like, how can you screw that up at some event? That's really hard to mess up. Right. And now it was like, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. I want to know more, So went upon my trip, got the ferry from Kennencraig to Port Ellen. I saw the big multi. I was like, oh wow, they've got distilleries here too on this island called Islay. And so I went to this place called Lefroy, and it was like looking the inside of a barbecue pit, and I loved it straight on. I was like, okay, this is interesting. So then I went to Jura, and came home from that trip with a bottle of the Jurixone, that 16 that's discontinued, a triple cask from Lefroy, and the Distiller's Edition from Oban. Those were the 3 bottles that sent me on my course. And then I just wanted to know more and started learning, From there, I befriended other, clearly I've never met a stranger, right? But I befriended other YouTube channel folks, the Scotch for Dummies, Roy Aquavite, and just started trying to learn read as much as I could, and started just an Instagram. It's like, I want to tell people how excited I am about this. So I started Scotch on the Bayou on Instagram and Facebook, and started talking more about that. And there weren't a lot, especially in the States, there aren't a lot of women associated with whiskey. And so I was like, well, I want to say a few things about it. What I say may not be, what everybody else's experience is, but at least I want to learn more and share that it's okay for a woman to like brown liquor. You know, you don't need anybody's permission. This doesn't care who's drinking it. And so I just kind of wanted to do that. And the more I got into it, the more education I did, ended up going over to Islay and at the Whiskey Academy with you there, and just having all those experiences, and ended up 2 years ago starting my YouTube channel, Scotch on the Bayou. So it has been a wild run. It really has.
Yeah. Because we're not going to go into the politics, because the First Minister is not exactly flavour of the month over here at the moment. But she actually picked you out to come to Islay, didn't she?
Yeah. So I got there by way of a competition, and so I applied for basically a seat for the week long instruction, and made the cut. I think there were 80 that start out, and made the cut of 12. And then the former prime minister, I believe, was a friend of Rachel's or something, but she chose mine, and it got me to Scotland. So I'm good with her at that point. For that point alone, you know, you can thank her for our friendship, Mike.
Exactly.
There you go.
She has got
silver lining, right?
She's got some redeeming qualities. Yeah.
But yeah, so doing that, and then you know, Louisiana's culture is it's very different from the rest of the states. There's a big area in South Louisiana, Cajun culture. I'm sure y'all have heard of Cajun food and may love Cajun food. It's a little spicy, you know, but we have all of that came from people who were basically pushed out of Acadiana in Nova Scotia in the up in Canada, and they made their way through to the Gulf of Mexico up into Louisiana. And these Acadians or Cajuns, you know, settled the area and lived off the land, and have very similar culture points that I think have a lot to do also with or mimic, complement, whatever, Scottish culture, because they were told don't speak your language. They have, you know, community dances called a fé dodo, where there's a ceilidh over there, you know, so there's all the same 80-year-old woman at your ceilidh that pulls you off the chair and makes you dance. We got that down here at the fé dodo. Okay. And I say that because one of them
claps along as well. There's always little lady that claps along.
Oh yes. And they're rocking the babies because they got to put the baby to sleep, you know. And it's a big deal. The culture, the food, the music. Your bands at a ceilidh have the same instruments that the bands do here at a fé dodo. So it's all of how the similarities are so interesting to me. I wanted to be able to share the Louisiana culture. So the Scotch on the Bayou literally is that. So we talk about whiskey on my channel, but also share the culture of Louisiana. And we have a camp, or a cabin, if you will, in the swamp. My husband Mark and I and our dogs go there on the weekends. It's about 1 hour from our house, and it's on a river right next to the major swamp in Louisiana. And we sit there and we literally have Scotch on the Bayou. That and just chill. And I'll do reviews down there, and we call them camp drams. So they're drams that we have at the camp. It's, you know, I got no makeup on, camp hair, don't care. We're just out here watching the water go by, counting alligators, and drinking whiskey. So it's great.
That was going to be my question, actually. Like, yeah, you guys have got like alligators.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, do they come like close to your camp, to your house, or do like?
They can. Most of the really big ones just shy away from you. They're smart enough. It's the little ones that usually want to get a little close. I filmed a couple of camp dram videos I haven't sent out yet, but a couple of weeks ago, and there was a 4-foot gator on our dock, on our pier. So when you come like out of the backyard garden of the house, you're on solid ground pretty much there. And then we have a footbridge that's almost I would say 3/4 of a football pitch long through a watery, shallow swamp area. And then it goes out to a dock at the river. Well, the water it goes up and it goes down. It goes up and down. And as it goes up, everything else comes around. So literally the gators they're cold-blooded, right? So they want to get in the warm sun. And I called him Joker. That was his nickname. Joker pulls up there, gets on top of the pier, and just is sitting up there sunning. And I'm probably 30 yards from him doing my review, and he's in the background, just kind of hanging out, just hanging out. It's great.
British camping into perspective. I love camping. I love camping with a dram, but I think the most dangerous thing I've ever seen is like, I don't know, like a seal. They're not classically dangerous.
If you get within 30 yards of a spider, you're running away.
I'm not a fan of a spider. I would take on a seal, but I'm not going to take on a spider.
That's funny. Yeah. So we have.
Do you guys have spiders?
We have lots of. We have big spiders, but we call them banana spiders, but they're fine. They don't bother you.
Yeah, that was a large shape you just made with your fingers there. I'm not.
Yeah, about that big. So there's I have a camp drum review on Bunnahabhain 12, and I'm standing in front of our camp, and there's this tree with all the Spanish moss hanging down, and I knew it was up there, but I didn't disrupt it because the spider was okay, but the spider was moving, and the depth of field was not like on camera. Whoever's watching the review can't really tell that it's like 2.5, 3 feet away from me, right? And it looks like this thing is about to start crawling in my hair. And it's funny because someone even put in the comments, check out the timestamp, check out the spider. Is it going to get in our hair? It's hilarious. We are the minority down there. There's so many critters in the swamp. They far outnumber us, from frogs to turtles. The birds are amazing, so we just sit there and have fun and wear mosquito repellent.
Yeah. I bet.
Well, we need midgie repellent. Midgies are probably the most lethal animals we've got here. Although was it Ian had a good point on YouTube. He says the gators sound slightly less annoying than the nesting scurries and peterheads. I think he's got a point there. You gotta look after your fish and chips and peterhead when the scurries are there.
We don't have. Although there would probably be somebody who would want to eat one of those down here. We eat everything. That was one of the funny things. It was like, are you going to eat haggis when you go to Scotland? I'm like, are you kidding? It's like boudin, but we have rice instead of oatmeal. But it's basically the same thing, We don't have the lamb stomach, but we have all the other stuff inside, We eat
awful
great stuff down here.
Yeah.
The food sounds amazing.
I'm just going to say hello to Mary, who is watching. She was on our Highland Academy along with Rick.
Hi, Rick.
As well.
Hey, Rick.
So, Rick was. Did you not see Rick complimenting your haircut? He was.
No. Thank you, Rick.
He did compliment me on my hair as well. So I'm not sure if you can really judge Rick's hair. Judging abilities.
Funny because we use the same hairdresser. I don't know what.
I know, right? Normally I go in at the end of the day and pick up all the scraps and slap it on for a couple of days.
Would you like a transplant, friend?
Quite a lot came off your hair, so I could have kept it for you.
Yeah.
Little Scotch tape, just saying.
So anyway. So you started Scotch in the Bayou, and how many followers are you up to now?
So I'm just under 1,300 on YouTube. So and then I don't know, like 1,700 or something like that on Instagram. But it's really just doing it for the fun. And that's what this big trip. I have a trip. I'll be there this time next week. Supposed to go over in 2020. We all know how that year went. So we're coming back over, and it's an epic trip, and I'm so excited about the amount of content I'm going to gather, but it's also, and be able to share that for a lot of folks that won't ever get a chance to go to Scotland, you know, I want to kind of be the person that can show them, you know, different things and that type of stuff. But I also am looking forward to getting away and being able to travel again and just chill out for a little while. But yeah, this American is going all over. Over.
Are you going to be doing live streams to your followers?
Yeah. So my show, I do a live show every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. my time, which I think is 2 a.m. your time. So that time slot won't work, but I will be in Speyside at the Tuesday after on the 30th. And look at the date. That helps. I'll be there on the 30th. So I'm going to do one. So it'll be an afternoon show for the States, kind of like this one is. I'm just going to do it a little early, probably around 3 p.m. in the States and 9 p.m. over there. Yeah. Hopefully we can get the Wi-Fi to work. But yeah, I'm packing what I need to do live streams there. Then the next Tuesday, I'll be in Campbelltown. So we're planning on doing one at that point.
I have no problem with the Wi-Fi down in Campbelltown.
Okay.
The best Wi-Fi I had, I've lived all around Scotland, and the best Wi-Fi I had was living on an island just not too far away from Islay. Up here, my Wi-Fi just turns off at like 8 o'clock. I'm like, you know, it's like, I'll say my goodbyes now because it'll just cut out at 8 o'clock. I'm pretty sure they just pull the plug to make sure we all go to bed early so we could just get out in the fields in the morning.
One way of doing it, isn't it?
Yeah, so the last twice, I think. So Kat and I normally stay on for a little bit after just to catch up and kind of have a chat, and then all of a sudden Kat's gone. She just like disappears, and it's like there's a curfew in Huntley. It's like no guys,
no more internet for you.
That's it.
I know. It's probably just my kids just making sure. You remember like back in the day when like you had to do dial-up, so you could either have the phone or like the Wi-Fi. So it's probably just my kids making sure I'm just getting off the Wi-Fi so they can do their games.
That's funny. Yeah.
So like your sort of live streaming things.
Yeah.
How does that work? Is it like sort of people ask you questions, or do you? I don't know. Is it predetermined like what people want
different to talk topics? About? Yeah, we do different topics. So I have a series called Flight with Friends, and very much like a Blether kind of thing, but usually a theme behind it. So last night, for example, or not before last, it was a friend of mine, Chad Anderson, who is up in British, Alberta, Canada. Jennifer was another classmate who's from Texas with me and Mike at the Islay Whisky Academy. She and I went to the Victoria Whiskey Festival in Victoria, British Columbia in Canada in January, which was, I was like, I don't think I own a coat for that I could wear in Canada, but because it's on the West Coast, it's very temperate. I was all good. Fantastic event. I mean, like top tier event. This festival was, and I finally got to meet an online friend, Chad Anderson, in real life. So, which was funny going through customs when they asked me if I knew anybody in Canada. I'm like, oh yeah. Well, who are they? And so, when's the last time you met with them? I was like, well, funny that. I've never met him before. I'm coming to a foreign country to meet somebody I met online, you know.
Happens all the time.
All the time now, right? So, but he curated some unbelievable drams out of his collection and gifted to me and Jennifer. So we sat and we just had some of those drams with him last night and went through tasting notes on those. Other times it's more whiskey education, you know, talking about sherry maturation or oak type varietals. Just, it may be a geeky type thing, or it may just be kind of a chill and relax, just catching up with the community that's online.
That's fab. It sounds good fun. So you'll obviously have just like a group of people that just watch every single week that you kind of got to know virtually, I guess.
It's so we've done the live shows for a year now, and I'm amazed how many people do want to get up. Especially, so I have one particular fella, and Andrew Butler. If anybody knows Andrew, is in just south of London, who gets up at 2 a.m. and he's pretty much there every week. And I have a friend over in Germany. And he'll get up and that's 4 a.m. And I'm like, Thank you, but why y'all watching a middle-aged white woman from Louisiana drink whiskey in the middle of the night?
Don't ask those sort of questions. You might not want the answer.
Right.
Just accept it.
But really, their depth of knowledge, and I know y'all have the same issue. I was like, it's fun to talk about the whiskey, but the folks in the chat, they know so much, and I love how the whiskey community in general just wants to share, whether it's sharing samples and drams, whether it's sharing, their experience with the whiskey, or, helping people with other drops of knowledge about something that they're interested in. No one's got all their toys and they're going off to the side. If they are, then more power to them. They don't need to be around here anyway, and I just love the fact that there's so much sharing among the groups.
I think we say that every week, though, don't we, Mike? With whoever's on, it's just like a big family. It's the same comment that you hear every single time, whether it's like master blenders or brand ambassadors or people like yourselves. It's just a nice big family.
Yeah,
it's because we only invite the fun guys on.
That's true. That's true. You got to be cool to get in with the club.
Right. It's a cool kid club. Love it.
I'm not even sure kids say cool anymore. Maybe we're showing our age by using the word cool. I don't know what the other word would be.
Yeah, no, we're cool.
Yeah. We are totally cool.
Ed has just popped on it. Inverary is the closest he's been to Campbelltown. Inverary is a bit of a bugbear of ours because we get so many people phoning up from him looking for the Inverary whiskey shop, and they think they've got us. And it's I put an order in with you online, and here's my name, here's my order number. Like, yeah, that's definitely not us. Yeah, the Inverary whiskey shop. They say, yeah. I bet you. How you spell an Inverary? Inverary. Yeah, that's Inverary. That's it's a long way away. And we are pretty much polar opposites.
Yeah, y'all are not close.
Yeah. So, I don't know if they get the same either. I'm sure they might. The people looking for Inverary phoning up the Inverary.
I might just start prank calling them just to do that, just so they have that same level of.
That's funny.
Only do it for the big purchases. So, I see you've got this really nice Tom 1225 with a single cask grant from Gordon McPhail. And, so I want to buy it. Oh, we don't have. Oh no!
Have you got any Macallans? That's always my favorite phone call.
Yeah, and then you tell them the price of it, and it's like, oh no. Anyway, let's move on to Rick. Rick has got a question for Leanne. So Rick is the chap we mentioned right at the start, from San Francisco. So he is watching there, and he has a podcast called The Whiskey Zone.
Cool.
So catch that up. He is asking, do you broadcast Scotch in the Bayou on YouTube only or any other social platforms?
So I do. The live show is on YouTube and Facebook. So on Tuesday nights, and then the reviews are just on YouTube. Yeah.
Awesome.
During the time I'm over there, so I'm going to be in Scotland for 3 weeks. Like I said, like epic trip. And just to be able to get away from work for 3 weeks is a feat in itself. But I'm going to be doing some Instagram lives while I'm there as well, because that'll be, if I can jump on a Wi-Fi somewhere to be able to do that, I'll be definitely doing that. So if you want to catch that, that's at Scotch on the Bayou, all one word, at Instagram, on the Instagram feed.
Do you enjoy the sort of the live aspect of it? Some people find it quite daunting, like just thinking of something off the cusp just to talk about. Does it come quite naturally to you, or is it just something you've developed over the years so you've been doing it?
Yeah, I there was a time though I was like, well, even starting the Instagram, I was like, there ain't no way in hell you gonna get me on YouTube. Yeah, be careful what you say. And it truly was some of the other channels that kept pushing me and kept telling me, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to use your voice. There's plenty of room at the table. Just sit down at the table and once I get going, I'm usually pretty good. But I want to know what I'm doing when I get there. I want to know how, can I give any value to what I want to talk about? I have usually been really good at engaging other people. When you're the only person talking on your show, that's a little hard.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have folks in the chat. You have to have, people to engage with, to do that part of it. And I think that's part of why people like to come on to the channel and be part of it, is because it is very chill and laid back. It's not pretentious. Just like the whiskey is not pretentious. It's people that make it pretentious. It's not, again, it doesn't care who drinks it. And so it took a little while to kind of get my oomph going, but I'm on a little bit of a roll now. So I usually can go from the hip pretty quick and pretty easily now. I don't know if it's good, but I can do it.
I'm sure it's very good. Very, very good.
Yeah. I think when you get that confidence going and used to the idea that you're talking to a camera, once you get into the flow, the idea that you're speaking to a camera disappears, doesn't it? And
it does.
People.
But I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I have a Post-it note that says, "Look here." So because I'm like glancing down to see you all, but I have this like hot pink note that says, "Keep your eyes right there." So I'm looking at everybody,
Yeah, I think that is the toughest part, is to be looking at the camera like there, right, and not at the screen.
Yeah,
it's something I gave up on that a long time ago. So I just look at the screen, and I think people. I even got one of these. So we use the Ozbot when we're doing tastings in the shop, and then we plug that in so that the guys at home can watch as well. So we do a virtual kind of tasting event. And I had this set up so it was like kind of here on the screen, just below the actual camera. So I was looking at that, but because I was looking at that, I couldn't see past on the comments or anything. So it kind of solved one issue, but created a whole host of other issues. And it's set right in the keypad as well, so I can't even type anything. So
my biggest problem is I'm a listener, so I like get so lost listening to people. I'm to people watching at home, I'm obviously just like, I must just like brain dead, just staring at people. And then like Michael message would be like, "You dead?" I'm like, "No, sorry, I was just listening." Any other situation, and like being a listener is a good thing, but like when you're doing like a live chat, being a listener just makes you look a bit moronic, to be honest.
Yeah, it just looks like your screen is frozen. You're just like.
I mean, a lot of the time it is, to be fair.
That's funny. That's funny.
So Rick is also a graduate of Islay Academy, the Whisky Academy.
So Rick,
I think you were there last year, was it, Rick? Remind me, I think you're 2022 graduate. So he came on to our version, our own Highland Whisky Academy, which we started up. So we had our first one March last year, and we just ran our third one, which Rick and Mary were on. So similar kind of idea, less classroom work and more kind of driving around and getting into the distilleries and cooperages and all this kind of stuff. So it's we're enjoying doing that, and hopefully we'll get you over at some point. I know we spoke to Jennifer when we first set it up. She was keen, but COVID and everything else happens. So
yeah, and she and I have already started talking about 2024.
Yeah,
so I think the next trip over will be the two of us, which I have to say, we get into all kinds of mischief. Last week I was over there. Yeah, I know. I went over to Houston and we went to see Louis Capaldi.
Mm-hmm.
And it was his last North American tour show. And I'm like, they had margaritas going. They had all kinds of stuff. I was like, we ain't drinking that. No. We looked at the bar and I saw the shape of a Glenmorangie bottle. It was that or Johnny Walker Black. And I was like, what Glen? It was far away. I was like, what Glenmo is that? The guy had to go get his binder out to find out how much it was. It was the 18, and Jennifer and I killed the bottle.
Wow.
And so, yeah, we do get into trouble, but nobody's had to call for bail money. So we're all good. It's all good.
Super. We've got a few questions coming in.
Awesome.
Leah, David is on YouTube. He's asking what is in your cabinet behind you. And Ian is asking what is your most memorable dram, or what location have you had your most memorable dram? So 2 questions here. Where was the location and what was the dram?
Oh my goodness. Well, first behind me is part of my collection. So I've got a little bit of everything, because when people say, what's your favorite kind of Scotch? And I'm like, yes. Because I like my bourbon matured stuff is like my gold standard here, and then I'll go off and do some sherry, and I'll go off and do some peat.
Drinking together. I'm all about a bourbon maturation. We should let's go out.
No problem. I'll be there in a week. Literally a week from today, I'll be in the shop. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think that worked. No.
Wait, what, a week from today?
2 weeks from today. Yeah, okay. 2 weeks from today, I'll be in the shop. I had to think about that. But yeah, so I've got a little bit of everything. And I've got a good bit of Compass Box over here. And I love my Campbelltowns. I love some funk. I'm like, don't. I got to get the funk going. Glen Scotia is very near and dear to my heart. I can pick that out at 30 yards. Just something about that spirit that I get every single time. And of course, Springbanks are I absolutely adore. I'm going to see. I think we're working. We're going to see each other at Glendronach first. And I've always been a fan of that. Over in the States, we don't get a whole lot of. We have to really hunt, and usually have to buy from overseas to get anything other than standard bottlings. So at this point, I'm not necessarily going for unicorns as much as I am for just different and things that you don't come upon. As I've been trying to think, what kind of bottles am I going to be looking for, or really wanting to bring back home when I come over for my trip. And it's certainly going to be something I can't get here, but I also know I want cask strength. I want interesting cask maturations. I like a story behind a whiskey too. I'm a sucker for a story. I can't tell. Going to the store, going to your shop is going to be like a kid in a candy store. I cannot even wait to see because I've been lurking and seeing everything on the shelves, and I'll pop into a tasting when I can and that type of thing. So I'm super stoked to be able to see what's on your shelves that are going to end up on these shelves over here.
Certainly looking forward to having you over. We'll get Glendronach, and I would emphasize, if we have time, we'll swing in past Cat's Distillery. It's not too far away.
You didn't say. Everyone's poised in their glass waiting for somebody to say it. Sorry, what distillery was that, Mike?
It's the Glengarry Distillery, guys. Glengarry. So there you go.
And to Ian's question, there's been quite a few like really cool moments, but I will have to say, that those 1 to 2 a.m. after drams on Islay were particularly special. There's one I won't really mention, but the last one was beyond compare. But during that time, having the barley farmer pour the Bruichladdich 2011 Islay barley in my glass, in his barn, on his farm, kind of blew my brain. I was just like, wow, this is the guy who grew the barley that made this whiskey, and he's pouring this whiskey to me. That just, Hunter Jackson and just all of that just was amazing.
It was incredible. And one story I always like that Paul McLaughlin, the whiskey doc, has he's been over and he does a session with us on the Academy, all about the olfactory and gustatory. And he always tells a story with Hunter Jackson, but on the last night, I think it was the last night, it was a heavy one. And but sitting with Hunter in the room, and we're drinking Carol Ann's dram, so the cask bottle for his wife, and he pours a good glug of water into that, and we're all looking at it, And I think it was yourself that actually asked him, was why do you put so much water in your whiskey? And he just turned around and it makes it last longer. I thought it was brilliant.
I know. That was, whew. I'm just sitting. That was one of those moments where you just sit here. Well, the whole experience, especially, and not that it's in your backyard, so to speak. Y'all are right in the middle of all of it. And to be over here and to be able to go over there, I just think it's like I'm really over across an ocean in another place.
Yeah.
And being part of it, it was pretty surreal. But I'd had a lot of rams that day, so who knows?
Yeah, that week I think was pretty incredible. But I love it, just kind of full circle almost to what we were talking about before. And you say that Isla's in our backyard. For us, it feels like so far away when we're sitting in Inverurie, Aberdeenshire, and somebody says, "Oh, Isla's in your backyard." Is it? Not really. It's a couple hours away, and then some. It takes a lot of planning to get to Isla. It's not just a case of jumping the car. But I suppose for you guys, it's nothing at all.
Yeah.
I'm just going to point out Rick has put a comment on YouTube. Leanne, make sure Mike takes you upstairs. This is to do with the shop because we have a tasting room upstairs. There's nothing else in that comment at all. I'm pretty sure Rick is alluding to the tasting room, not anything else.
I kind of figured that, but good to know, Rick.
Are we past the watershed? We're not even past the watershed yet, Rick.
We're not. No.
That's funny.
Oh, it's middle of the afternoon in Louisiana, so
yeah,
long Blether to go.
What's in the glass now, Leanne? There's another bottle being opened. It looks very dark.
So my friend Chad, because this distillery. Oh, is it like drinking game when I say the distillery name?
No, it's just they like to take the piss out of me for.
Okay, good deal.
For one distillery name that I never mentioned.
This is another Glen, a Glen Alecky. So this is another one of the samples that Chad from Canada gave to John and I. And it's from a store called the Kensington Wine Market. And they do a lot of specific picks, basically. And this is a 2006 15-year single cask, number 4785. And it's 59.2 Oloroso Sherry Puncheon. So it is, like I said, I'm weed drams because I got work I got to do after this. But it's as dark as my shirt.
Yeah.
And it's that ruddy brownish burgundy color, just And
yeah, from here it looks really, really red in the glass. It looks really pretty.
A lot of tropical notes on it. Kind of got that banana right off the bat, but it's dissipating as it's airing out.
Mm. Beautiful. No, that sounds pretty special. I was going to jump on a question there. Oh, Alistair, it's not a question, it's a statement. Alistair Gray is saying, great to see another barfly on the Blether. So you attend the barfly sessions.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
Been on Roy's show a couple times, getting to see him. So I'm super excited about that. We're going to try to do a little gathering in Glasgow, maybe at the Pot Still or Bonaccord while I'm there.
Superb.
So that's fun.
That's going to be good. So Dominic has mentioned as well, excuse me, do you find Scotch to be overpriced compared to domestic whiskies?
So that's kind of a hard one because when I look at the value of things, well, first of all, overpriced, they are more expensive here than if I bought the same bottle in Scotland. So yeah, we do have, a premium on some things. That's a little bit more, but that's okay because I didn't get in a plane to have to go over there and get it. I know it takes a lot of oomph to get it over here. So that's a premium most all of us are willing to pay. The tariff did a number because when that happened, that on top of everything else and the fact that most of those tariffs didn't go down or the prices didn't go down when the tariff was lifted, that was kind of suspect. And we are starting to get 700 milliliter 70 cl bottles now instead of the 750 that we would always get. So that's interesting we have to kind of now pay attention to the size of the bottle, where before it was a straight 750 and we knew that, but now we've allowed 700s to come in because American whiskey 750 has been like the legal size that it could be. So given all of that, I don't really compare a lot to the American whiskeys other than American single malts because corn's cheap and the maturation time is a fraction on bourbon compared to Scotch whiskey. And so those are kind of things that I look into when I know that there's a Deanston 12 or, some type of any 12-year-old whiskey. I know what's probably in it, how it was made, and where it sat compared to, something that's going to be in one of the 45 rick houses in Kentucky that may very well be, somebody else's palate and is very good, but it's not what I'm going to buy. And I know that the cost of goods sold in that is not what it was in the 12-year-old Scotch. So I kind of look at that value sense of it too. So
you got like bottles that you'd recommend to like new drinkers, like new Scotch drinkers in America that are like, good quality but a reasonable price. I watched some of the video you did about it. You touched on a couple of them that you're kind of your go-to ones.
Yeah. So I try to get as many bourbonites, as I call them, to come to the dark side. And, if I especially know that they're really into bourbons and sweeter brown liquor, then I will like Glenmorangie Quinta Reuben 14 is one of my main go-tos because it's very well priced here. It's $45 to $55 a bottle. So that's probably about 37 to 45 pounds. I don't know, maybe something around there. And it's got a sweetness to it and you can find it. It's very easy to find. For someone who just really wants the vanillas and things like that, Deanston 12 is a big one that I recommend people, start with. And even when I start getting them on the kick of smoke, a Highland Park 12 to introduce them to smoke because it's baby smoke, right? It's a very gentle smoke. Maybe even a Glen Scotia. I don't roll them right into Lafroig or Ardbeg right away, but there's different ones I definitely suggest to get into and things that are readily found because you get into a whiskey and it's like, well, I kind of want some more of that. It's like, especially if you're early on in your whiskey journey. And it may be that the ones that are readily available on the shelf or core range may not be what, a whiskey enthusiast or folks here might always want to go to. Glenfiddich 12. I've got one at the camp when I don't want to have to think about it. I can just pour it and go, so It's like that.
Yeah. Glenfiddich 12 is always one that I always kind of try and get people to go back to because it's one that when you open the door to whiskey, people go off and they try something different every single time. And they go to a bar or at the supermarket in one of our shops online. They always look for something different. And we're spoiled for choice with that. It's you have a different whiskey every day for the rest of your life, pretty much, and never have to return to the same one.
This is true.
But I always say to guys, especially when I'm doing something like the Whiskey Ambassador course and some training, go into your bar and they'll have a Glenfiddich 12. Pretty much 99% of bars will have Glenfiddich 12. Buy one and drink it. Just remind yourself how good a drama it is because it's one of these. It's the most awarded Scotch in the world. I think it still is for a reason. And it's because it's damn good stuff. But people
and they
forget
started the single malts, right? They're the ones that started, the whole idea of having a single malt.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. And I always say to people, go back and remind yourself just how good a whiskey is, because people forget about it, they overlook it, they think, it's something I can buy anytime. But there's a reason for that. It's because they were so good at what they did, they got the chance to make more of it. But still continuing the experiment and still try everything. But just once in a while, go back and say, you know what? I fancy something just really easy, something simple, but good as well.
Right.
It's like what you said, Leanne. It's like one you just don't need to think about. You just want a dram. You don't want the fuss. So just take down something like a Glenfiddich, just a nice easy drinker. It's a good sharing whiskey as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just one that you don't mind passing out.
A TV malt.
A TV malt. I don't think that's what their marketing team are going with, but
it's better than a driving van, I suppose.
Well, that's true. That's
TV,
true.
Yeah, just something that the football's on or film's on, and you're not. When whiskey isn't the start of the show, you want something that you don't have to think about.
It's a beautiful distillery.
Sorry?
It's a beautiful distillery as well. It's really lovely.
I'm looking forward to seeing it.
So I've just poured myself a Kilchoman sherry cask. This is also sherry from 21, and it was a UK exclusive, which is what I've poured. Partly influenced by Islay, meeting yourself in Islay. Partly influenced actually by Rick. I think on the Whiskey Zone last night, I think I picked up him reviewing a Kilchoman 2010. It blew his mind, and I thought, oh yeah, I need to go back and because I missed the Kilchoman tasting drinking side of things. That our last one, we did a shop tasting, and I couldn't drink because I was on tour the next day. So I thought, to hell with it, I'm going to pour myself a wee Kilchoman.
Well, I'm not going to let you drink Kilchoman by yourself.
Is that the Fino?
It's the Fino.
Yeah, beautiful.
Wait, I can't open the bottle of Kilchoman I've got because it's not mine. I don't think Michael Barfer is not watching tonight. I can maybe just go in.
He'll forgive you. I thought you were sharing it.
We are. I have got, what have I got? I have got the Money McDavid, the Dalyoun.
Oh, nice.
That one. It's really nice.
See, that's a distillery we barely get anything of, ever. You know, I mean, because we don't get a lot of access to independent bottlings over here.
Okay, I was going to ask you about that actually, whether that is something that's common in America or not.
It's very hit and miss.
Okay.
I like when I go to a bigger market. I talked about Jennifer living in Houston with millions of people that live there. There are two really good groups of liquor stores that do a lot. That one of which does actual barrel picks with Kilchoman and Edredauer like every day. It seems like they have so many different ones. But you will get some Gordon MacPhail's, Octaves. Let's see. I'm trying to think. It's the white box that I can't remember the name of it. Murray McDavid's, different things, Singlatories, those you might get, but there are going to be 4 different ones. I mean, think about how many independent bottlings they do, and there's 4 signatories. It's like, okay. And we've got a store here in town that's trying really hard, but it's a distribution place. And the state's distribution and triple level way we do liquor is so asinine, but it's because everybody wants a hand in the kitty and to get some money off of it. So Prohibition does a number on it. I'm just glad I'm in a state that they sell liquor at Walmart. They sell liquor at the drugstore.
Yeah.
It varies state by state, doesn't it? So some states buy it in a gas station. Some states you've got to get it from like sort of like almost like a government.
Yeah. State stores. Yeah. The private company can sell it, but the state can only will dictate what they sell, which can't be more un-American than that, But I do love me some Kilchoman, friend.
Yes. Oh, I love Kilchoman as well. It's one of my favorites.
And I'm not gonna lie, I had a little bit of a crush on Anthony Wills when he was talking to us. It's like, oh, his dapper accent. And he's talking about bourbon matured. You would love him. He prefers the bourbon matured whiskey.
Oh, I know.
I have it. I have it.
I'm also very jealous because they've just released. Have you seen the Land Rover they got over there? Because Anthony's wife is descended from the family that developed the Land Rover, and they've released like a Kilchoman in conjunction with Land Rover.
Man.
need to be there. I need to be out at the Oklahoma. And yes, Ian, I am very jealous of Leanne's whiskey cabinet. Like life goals right there. I'm just going to block my whiskey cabinet completely with my giant hair. There we go. You can see now.
Yeah. So
go just lean to the side, Kat. Just prove to the guys at home that you do have whiskey behind you.
Wait, that way.
Oh, there it is.
There's
mainly on the floor. Right. One of these days, guys, I'm going to get like a kick-ass whiskey cabinet, and then like you'll all be laughing on the other side of your face.
I'm going to give you a shot of this camera next week, and you can actually pick it up and go and show people.
Show you all my whiskey that's just sat on the floor. And I'm going to get beautiful patriotic blue and white lighting, just like Leanne's got for us tonight as well.
See? I'm that's funny. Yeah, this so this cabinet was in my husband's family. His great grandfather was a pharmacist, and so I think this was in their family. And then this is your typical Target IKEA kind of thing. But yeah,
you can tell from here which one was which.
It's just, they hold whiskey, and I wanted some pretty lights. So
that's beautifully poetic though, because you guys bonded over Lafroig, and Lafroig got through Prohibition by being sold as a medicine. So there you go. Like it's symbolic. It's symbolic of your friendship. It's beautiful.
I love it. Oh, this Kilholman is so good.
The Fino one was the one that I found most different from the others, just because Fino is such a dry sherry anyway. So I took home the cognac one, but the Fino one was like one of those moments of like your brain was trying to figure out what it was for a second. But yeah, it's lovely.
I think it's quite fun throwing a Fino or something like that in at people, because you just say, it's a sherry cask. And people look at it and it's quite pale.
Right.
That can't be. It must be refill. It's not a first fill sherry. They taste it. No, that's not a sherry cask. Yeah, it's Fino sherry. We had this with Tomatin. They did I think it was last year. They did a Fino sherry cask, and it was exceptional. And when people think sherry, they think PX. They think Oloroso. They think sherry bomb, fruit explosion, spices, very dark. You pour a Fino in front of them, and it's like, what is this?
Yeah,
this is sherry. We've actually got a taste at a sherry comparison at the shop in about 2 weeks' time. Well,
so this is one of the things I do to make people see the difference, between PX and then the Fino, Manzanilla, and Oloroso.
Yeah,
a lot of people can't see sherry, but they don't really know the difference between the different sherries. It's under misunderstood drink, I think. You're always.
I think we need to drink more sherry.
And people think it's a little lady drink.
I know.
It's seen as a granny drink, isn't it? It's seen as not just a lady's drink. It's seen as a granny drink.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or you cook with it, Yeah.
Well, that's got me onto the question I wanted to ask you, actually, Leanne. I was looking at your blog, and you did oysters and Lafroig. That looked amazing. So whiskey and cooking, is that something that you're quite passionate about, or is it just easy at the camp?
It is actually, because so char-grilled oysters is a big thing here. When we were at the academy, we got to pour kelpie into raw oysters on the half shell. That was fabulous. But char-grilled is a big thing out of New Orleans, where you've got the oyster on the half shell, and you've got butter and garlic and Parmesan cheese and parsley, and you just put it on there, and you put it on the grill, and it just cooks all that goodness in there. Having a smoky whiskey on top of that is just chef's kiss. It's amazing. It's so very good. The salinity mixing with the smoke and the sweetness of the butter and the oyster itself, it's just like foodie heaven, right? Then you get to so at Christmas time, like a Christmas cake or fruit cake is kind of big, but I think fruit cake gets a bad rap in the States, especially because some people make it with this kind of green fruit. It's basically a dyed green pineapple, and it's just like not very appealing. But not right? And I was like, oh yeah, I just want to eat green fruit. It wasn't naturally green. But my dad's mom made a fruit cake that was just raisins, cherries, dates, and pecans. and enough flour to hold it together, grape juice, and she used Old Crow back in the day. And she would make this. She put like, I think it cost for like half a cup of Old Crow in the batter, and then she would bake it, and then she would do it the day after Thanksgiving. So Thanksgivings are the fourth Thursday of November. She would make it in a bundt pan that has like the hole in the middle. She would put that cooked cake in a tin, and she would douse it with whiskey. Then she would put a jigger in the middle of it, pour the whiskey in it, put the lid on the tin, and stick it in the refrigerator and just let it absorb. And every week she would open it up, fill it back in, douse it again, put it back in the fridge. And she did that until Christmas. So instead of using Old Crow, hang on there, what I use is usually Glendronach 12. And it's a damn good cake. Let me just say, it's really, I mean, it just complements everything very well. And it's a way to say, pay homage to my grandmother, but to my taste and my palate. So, and
I'm a big fan of a hot plate, and we always get like a side of salmon and put it in foil, and then pour Lafroig over it, and then fold the foil up and just put it in like the hot embers, and like at the end of the cup. It always tastes really, really good. Really nice.
Because I would think that as the alcohol even burned off, the liquid would still steam through the fish, right?
Yeah, you just get this really nice sort of smoky, sweet kind of salmon at the end of it. It's so good. Really good.
I mean, I have to try that.
Yeah, definitely give that one a go. Give it a go, or any other peated whiskey that you fancy. But I get discount on Lafroig, so we just go to Lafroig.
They're popular.
I don't know if this is just me in the mood I'm in today, but Rick is full of the innuendos tonight, and he would really like to give your fruitcake a chance, Leanne.
Well, I think you should. I could send you some.
It's the fact you put "your" in capital letters. It makes it a little bit.
My fruitcake is really good. Other people's fruitcake, not so much. Other people's fruitcake, you could prop your door open with. So,
I do Guinness for my fruitcake, so I steep it with Guinness.
I have a friend who makes a chocolate cake with Guinness.
Yeah, that works well.
Oh, it's delicious.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Gosh, I'm just going to be hungry now talking about all this.
I know. It's when you spoke about the kelpie, the oysters on the bay. So I'm surprised you didn't pick this as one of your favorite experiences with the whiskey, is when
it's up there.
We're on the pier on Ardbeg. And that whole experience was fascinating. We picked up the Ardbog out of the T-Rex jaws. Yeah. Then went down on the pier. And Leanne got picked to do this because she won the competition.
Leanne.
Yeah. So they had the Kelpie bottle in a lobster creel off with the pier. Lobsters. So when Leanne pulled it up, there was actually they caught two lobsters in there. It was like,
in a bottle of
lobsters.
Because we thought that was set. Then we were like, that's part of the show. And it's like, nope, that was legitimately just put in our bag that morning and threw it in.
That was great. It was so much fun.
So they got released. They didn't go in the barbecue or anything. They were cool. And then we poured it over the. And I think was that Venge's. Was it their anniversary that day or something like that?
Yeah, I think it was.
Some celebration on, didn't they?
I think it was, yeah. Oh, they were so sweet.
Yeah. A really nice Swiss couple. I think they were Swiss.
Norway, yeah.
Norway, was it Norway?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it was their anniversary there.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah.
They were sweet. I just remember him. I remember when we were at Brooklotti, and they're like, if you're very good, we might can have another dram at the end. And Adam told us that. And when we got at the very end, and Ivan was like, have we been very good? He's like, yeah, you have. So we had, I remember it was 27 years old out of a French Chateau Margaux cask. And I was like, is this even real? It was amazing. Amazing.
It was so sweet as well. The pair of them were.
They were a doll. They were so sweet. Yeah.
I remember the morning of the the Friday night, I think, was the last day, and as every other night almost, everyone ended up back at Paul and I's flat. But actually, we spent quite a bit of time in your accommodation. But
you came to ours quite often.
Yeah, and I went to bed early because I was driving the next day and had to get going, and we all had to be out by 10 o'clock. So I left these guys too. I was the sensible one and said, "Right, guys, I'm going off to bed."
That was not sensible at all.
I woke up about 30 seconds past 10 o'clock, and everyone was gone, and the landlady appeared knocking on the door. And I was just like still zonked on my bed. I woke up. I was like, "Oh man!" So I shouted out, "Yeah, I'm just out of the shower. I'll be 2 minutes. Just if you do the other house first." So off she went, and I literally just threw everything in my suitcase, chucked it in the back of the bus and away. But they were coming out. They were just coming out of their accommodation. So I ended up giving them a lift, and we drove into. We actually went to see the Ardbeg, I think. Because no, it was Lagavulin because we didn't do Lagavulin as part of the experience, so we went to stop off at Lagavulin, and yeah, I needed a strong coffee in the coffee shop that day.
So I'm going to tell on myself because Leanne was completely and totally adorable, leaving y'all's place that night because Jason and Jennifer we all helped each other get back to where we were going. And I had packed, thank God, and I overslept. So Caitlin's knocking on the door. They're downstairs. Paul was downstairs to go back to the airport. Jason was on the same flight. We're all going on Logan Air back to Glasgow. I was not prepared. I was like, oh my gosh. I just like put clothes on. I didn't even have socks on and put my boots on. Just threw everything, shut all my suitcases, because I'm a planner and I'm a packer or whatever. You get there, throw it there. Charlie was driving us. And we get there and I realize I don't have my purse. And so we have a little bit of time. Charlie hauls it all the way back from the Islay Airport back to Port Ellen. Back to Bamore where we were staying. I race up, go check my room. It is not there. I see 3 things I forgot. Grab those. I call back down there and I'm like, I remember having my purse at your and Paul's place in the kitchen. And so we've got to go back there. Y'all were all still sleeping. And I walked into that house and looked for my purse. It was not there. I'm going, my passport is in there. What the hell am I going to do? This is probably one of the most adorable times the night before I'd ever been. And let's just say I've learned that lesson. Know where my passport is. Charlie gets me back to the airport. I open up. I was there. I was there at your place. I opened up my baggage again, and my purse was in my suitcase the whole time. So I got it. So he was able to then haul my ass back to the airport just as they started boarding.
And not one part of you said, actually, I better make sure Mike's awake and ready to go.
Nope. I went in. Y'all were all snoring, I'm sure. And I left. I was like in and out. You never knew.
I thought we were friends, Leanne. The look that landlady gave me was...
Do you not have a digital device that would have woke your happy ass up? I mean, come on.
Hell no.
I like the fact you could sleep through somebody frantically looking for their purse in your room and you slept through the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right?
No idea.
Oh, that's funny. That was great.
But yeah, Paul always waves me up about that. Yeah, sleeping in for that. But I still wake up from nightmares of that woman's stare when I wasn't ready to leave her accommodation.
Oh, goodness.
Rick's feeling a bit maligned here. He hasn't even started drinking and he thinks he's been staged with these innuendos. It's you that's saying them, Rick. I'm just going to say that.
We're just working with the material we've got, Rick.
Right.
He said decide if our stories are a recommendation for or a caution against attending the Islay Whisky Academy.
Oh, well, totally for all of them. Any education you can do, and to do it. The more you learn, the more you know.
So I was, and one of the reasons why off the back of Islay Academy, I thought, one, we could achieve something like that in Rayner, in Aberdeenshire. But I also did a lot of thinking about what to include in the course. And I've got more experiences than lessons. And what lessons we do have, like a Paul's chat on the olfactory gustatory.
Yeah.
It's things that we can use as a whiskey drinker, as a whiskey learner. And as fascinating as it was to learn about the yeast from the Dundee professor and the rock formation of Islay and everything, truly fascinating at the time. But ask me now, what can you tell me about it? Yeah, zero to diddly squat, really. So that's why I think we want to do experience, because that's what we're talking about, isn't it? The experiences that we had on the time, even away from the course.
Well, I think it depends on your interest. If you're very into the geek of it, in the pH level, that's one thing. I know yeast can divide 20 times and then it dies. So I do remember, I am that geeky person too. So, it kind of depends. But I think, especially what's cool is it's a completely different animal over on your side of the country, and and that's so much to offer for that, to be able to have those experiences. It's really cool.
Yeah. So Rick, I'd like to hear your experiences of Islay and what you got up to, or what your classmates got up to. That would be fun.
Yeah. Now, so Ian asked about what I thought about American single malt category.
Yeah. I was just going to go back to that. Jim Beam have now released a single malt. So,
I think you're going to see more of the big boys do that, actually, especially after Diageo bought Balcones. Because the climate is so different over here, and the maturation of something in a hot, not dunnage, but warehouse kind of, not even a rick house. So Kentucky has, it gets hot, but it doesn't get Texas hot, and just what they're turning out in a fraction of the time is amazing. So, and I think that was a big part of it. The American single malt category is getting more of its definition. They're like fine tuning what that actually means. And it's very close to the way that Scotch is made, but it is so not any way, shape, or form Scotch. I mean, it's certainly not going to replace. There's some I've had that had more flavor characteristics of Scotch whiskey that were 100% single malt, pot still, the whole thing, made like Scotch whiskey. But to me, they're very, very, very different. And I really like what's coming up. I'm starting to collect more of them so I can do a lot of comparisons and cross studies of them. I'm bringing one for you to try. I'm bringing 3 bottles to Scotland, because you never go to a party empty-handed, right? And so one of them I'm bringing is a Texas single malt in Blanco, Texas, outside Austin, and it's Andalusia. And when I tell you that their current still, the still that made this whiskey, is probably 5 feet in diameter. It's a itty bitty cute little thing. It even has a little wool jacket to keep the heat. They're now building a big still house, and they're expanding. But this is the Andalusia Striker is what I'm going to be bringing. And it's a smoked whiskey. It is so good. Again, it's not supposed to be Scotch, but it's American single malt. And then you have somebody like Westland, who's doing incredible things and getting very much into local varietals of barley up in the Pacific Northwest, where you can actually grow some of that. You can't grow barley in Louisiana. It would rot in the fields. There's certain places in Louisiana, like cotton, you can't do, but we have rice. So one of the other bottles I'm bringing is a American whiskey, rice whiskey. and it's 100% rice mash bill. And it looks as dark as, an Aurora Buna. I mean, it is almost coffee dark. Crazy. New American oak cask that went into, and it's that dark on. I'm trying to think what the maturation time period. I need to find that out before I come over there. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I want to see what your take is on it.
Yeah. I've had the Koval did the millet release. I thought that was really interesting.
The what now?
Millet. It's 100% millet cereal.
Oh, okay.
The millet is the grain. Normally, it's big in China and Asia, but it's a naturally gluten-free cereal. And they did a nice 100% millet release, and it was. I got into Koval off the back of a release that Glenallachie took out. One of their first wood series, I think, was a Koval rye cask. So we bought in the Koval range, and the millet was really nice. It was really kind of eucalyptus kind of flavor, almost medicinal, but very sweet as well.
Interesting.
Which was brilliant. Yeah, really enjoyed it.
It's big with budgies.
Yeah. It's used a lot for birdseed. Yeah,
I love it.
That's what I was like wondering, because we have my mom likes all her birds, and I know that's part of her repertoire.
Yeah. Big with budgies from the Dominic on YouTube.
Love it. I love it.
So Leanne, if you could pick any distillery, money's no object, you say, right, I want to buy that and own that and release whiskey from it. You can only pick one.
Oh, me. That's tough.
While you're thinking about it, I'm going to pour another wee dram, and this one is from Chapter 7. It's a blended dram called Legends of the Peterverse. It was exclusive for Whiskey Punks and the East City Whiskey Club. Heavily Islay influenced blended malt, 7-year-old.
Yum. So per region or all of Scotland?
It doesn't even have to be Scotland. It can be.
No, it wouldn't be in the States. It'd be over there. Jennifer and I have already discussed it. She's going to be the chef. No, I'm joking. I am absolutely enamored by Brooklighting. And the reason is it's ancient. It's absolutely ancient. When you look at how old everything is and all the wheels and but they do such cool progressive stuff. I was able to look up and get one of the Turnery Projects.
Oh yeah.
Bottles.
Yeah.
That's a bottle we didn't tell our husband about for a long time. And
I mean, your husband is almost Mark Rayner, though, isn't he?
Yeah, right. If I could only throw that card and get me some places, I'd have done it. Instead he's Mark Rayner instead of Rayner. Yeah. And I think I like mine better. But anyway, but yeah, I've had I got one of the ports. I haven't done the rye. I'm looking forward to trying that when I get over there. But the idea that all of those, that kind of marriage of 3 different malts together, I shared 19 people got to share that bottle. I mean, got to taste some of that out of that bottle. Unfortunately, I think I have a 2-ounce sample left of it. But I don't know. I don't know if it was that. It was the visit there. So I feel like a connection to it. I like how their marketing is about their people, and about that area of Islay. It was going to the spring, to the Octomore Spring, and all of that. I think is
James Brown.
Done. Just absolutely love it. Now, given the fact that I've not been to Speyside yet, I reserve the right to change my mind. After 2 weeks from now.
After you haven't been to Glengarry yet either.
Huh?
You haven't been to Glengarry yet either.
I haven't. But I remember you brought quite a few of those bottles.
I brought Glenallachie over, and I brought
there was one with a chinkapin.
Yeah, it was a Glenallachie that I brought.
Oh, okay.
You're welcome to come to Glengarry. I know someone. I'll get you in.
Oh, awesome. I love connections.
It's literally just like 5 minutes down the road from Mike's shop. So.
Oh, well, that's perfect.
Yeah.
As long as I can get to Glasgow in time to pick up this guy I've been married to, probably longer than some of these people have been alive, but No, so the day that we get back from our trip is our wedding anniversary. And someone asked, well, what are y'all going to do? And I'm like, we're going to sleep. That's what we're going to do. After 2 and 3 weeks in Scotland, we're going to sleep for a day.
Did your husband drink whiskey as well?
He drinks whiskey. Yeah. I mean, it's not his main, jam. And I mean, he likes it, and he's like, well, what's this? Tell me what you want me to drink, and that kind of thing, which was good. One day I came in and I had found a 19-year Glendronach in Vermont on a trip, and for a very decent price. I could not even believe, I think it was like $120. I was like, how in the world has this been sitting here? And I got it, hauled it all the way back home from Vermont. And I come in and he's got a pour like this. And I'm like, whoa, baby, what you doing? And he's like, I'm just gonna have some whiskey. You go pour half that back, baby. It's not like I handed him monkey shoulders and said, this is what you're gonna drink. I'm just like, you can have some, but it's 19 years and it's like a slight unicorn. So we're just gonna like have a little bit of that at a time, And he's like, well, yeah, whatever. I mean, he just drinks it to enjoy it. He doesn't get into the geekness of it. But what he does is he absolutely supports me in everything I do with it and puts up with me in my crazy ideas and is my biggest cheerleader. So that I'm very fortunate about.
Isn't it nice just to have that, like maybe not that level of knowledge, so you can just enjoy whiskey because you enjoy it, not because it's a unicorn or a 19-year-old this or that. You're just like, nice jam, having a good time.
That's good. That's tasty,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ian has commented, and there's been a couple of guys mentioned Westland as well. I've got Westland sitting. I've only tried one of them.
Yeah, I think Keith Duncan mentioned that he was drinking it, or tell me if I'm wrong, Keith, but I think he said at the top of the chat he was on the Westland as well.
Yeah, it possibly was, yeah. So the second time we mentioned Ian's a bit, and I think Ian has actually got a new profile picture on his YouTube. The last time I saw him, he was on a pier, and now he's in a warehouse. So I might be wrong. I might be wrong spy there. But Ian is intrigued that two of the main drivers for Westland have stepped away.
That's happened recently.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Well, they did get bought out. I'm trying to remember which one bought them, what big company bought them. So Jennifer and I went, actually we closed the place because we were there so long. When we went to Seattle, we went there, and and they told us, at least, they were allowed, even after they were purchased, they got to do their thing. They still needed to. Matt then did a master class at the Victoria Whiskey Festival that I went to and did his class. And he talked about, he's like, I'm really happy that we accomplished what I wanted to do. So it's almost like he's like, okay, I've done that. And I'm totally speaking, this is just my interpretation of it at the time. And maybe there's, other challenges he wants to do. He's very involved with the overall American Single Malt Consortium. So in making sure, those rules and regulations get put together to where it's fair across the board, as much as possible for the producers that are wanting to make something under that moniker. So be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, it's interesting. And that's Martin, who's on YouTube as well, saying Westland is great. Pacific Northwest, very different climate from South Colorado. And I guess that's something we don't have to worry too much, although there is subtle climate changes in Scotland. It's relatively small area, so there's nothing major. So we know that climate is going to be very consistent across Scotland.
Right.
Where, although it might be slightly wetter in the west and slightly drier in the east, we have subtle changes, but in terms of temperature, humidity, we're very consistent. Whereas you guys are all over the place.
So today it's 90 degrees, 32 Celsius.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's hot.
It's normal. I'm so looking forward to your weather. You have no idea. Before I come home and it's going to be hotter than hell over here, you know.
Yesterday was the best day we've had all year. Was it yesterday or was it today? Maybe today. Yesterday. My days are blending.
Saturday past was pretty hot though too, wasn't it?
Yeah. But we were talking like 15 maybe a push at a peak yesterday, and we were like, right, get the tops off, get the garden done. It's absolutely incredible.
I'll be over with a sweater.
I think when we hit 32, the distilleries stopped producing because they're scared they're going to run out of water.
Oof.
Yeah, well, it affected the barley growing as well, didn't it? Because it got too hot too soon and it stunted the growth of the barley. I think in terms of weather, like it has changed a lot here. I think that's why some distilleries are looking towards more heritage types of barley, just for it's more resilient, it's more sustainable, because a lot of the barley has obviously been cultivated specifically for yield, but with the weather changing the way it is, we just need something that's kind of stands up to the volatility of weather nowadays. So yeah, it's not as vastly changing as the different states in America, though. It's just a bit hotter, a bit sooner sometimes, and maybe a bit wetter. Blooming global warming.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll have a contingency plan for that, though. I'm sure.
Yeah, drink more whiskey.
Rye.
That's in my eye. I saw Martin ask me about not Glendronach or Old Pulteney. I would like to do Old Pulteney would be a big one because I'd like for them to get back to their roots a little bit more than where they are now. But you were talking earlier about Americans just going all over. I was going to go from Inverness to Old Pulteney and down, and then to Dufftown in one day. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to have New Orleans on that one.
You have your own private helicopter. You're just gonna fly across.
Oh, it's 2 hours up there. I was like, no, we'll just do that another time. Scotland's not going anywhere. I'll come back.
The thing about like a lot of the roads in Scotland are not like
no,
they're not built for pace. A lot of them are like single track, and
you got a lot of four-legged things hanging around that are fluffy or and cooey. So.
Yeah, deer on the road and camper vans and all sorts of stuff. So yeah,
cyclists.
I learned what a lorry was.
Cyclists.
A lorry, yeah. I mean, a lot of the time with these little roads, you spend more time going backwards than you do forwards because you're like just looking for like pulling in places. You're like, oh, tractor, let's 20-mile reverse until we get back to pulling in place.
Oh. And Russell's not a host anymore, so I can vent about cyclists being on the road. And single track roads in the middle of the road and being stuck behind them.
Yeah, I know, and they know their rights. They like cycle 3 abreast and that's not care.
Yeah. They should stick to mountain biking, stick to the hills. Anyway, that was.
You just had your rant there.
Yeah, I couldn't really feel that I could fully get that out when Russell was on because Russell's a keen cyclist, and well, he's no longer here. With us, with us.
He's not dead.
He's still alive. You, just not here.
Not with us as a host.
I was going to say to Russell, but
we'll have a dram for Russell.
He's alive and well, but just not
alive and well.
That's funny, guys. That is so funny.
Rick is confirming that he was not in bed by 10 o'clock on his Islay Academy. I'm glad to hear it. What else have we got coming through?
To keep with the theme, Rick, I was of the opinion I'll sleep when I'm dead, not when I'm on. I'm just starting to do that. Now, in fairness, I wasn't having to drive back to Inverary, so you know.
Yeah, I did that morning. I drove, so I did. I went to Lagavulin with the guys. I think we went back to. I'm sure we went back to Arbeg to pick up a couple of bottles. Dropped the guys off at the airport, and then I went. And my plan was to go back over to Port Ascaig, pitch up in the ferry port at the car park, and just sleep for the rest of the day, ready for the journey home. That didn't happen. I ended up going in past Colila and Bruichladdich, just to see the visitor centre. Colila was closed at the time. Brookladdie was under massive renovation, so I just kind of dotted around the island in a bit of a daze, not really sure what I was doing. And then by the time I got off the ferry at the other end, realised I've got this 6-hour drive up the road, and I had to get home that night because Tony had just gone. I think she just left later that night to go on holiday or go on a break or something, and the dogs were at home, so I had to get home for the dog. It's not as though I could stop halfway up and stay overnight, but that's what we put ourselves through for the love of whiskey, isn't it? It's all worth it.
I think I need to revisit Islay. When I went with Tony, but we went as part of work. So we were obviously, Tony, Mike's wife, and I worked together at unmentioned Highland Distillery. So we went out to Islay, but we were working. So I kind of feel like, and Tony did all the driving, bless her. So I kind of feel like me and Tony need to go back out and have some of these experiences that you guys had. So maybe go and sign up to the Islay Whisky Academy.
But you did almost get stuck there, didn't you? You were like right on the verge of lockdown.
Well, we went over to, it was just when it was all starting and people were kind of talking about, this virus and things and what will it come to. And we'd gone over to Kilhoman. And it's like, obviously Kilhoman's quite far away from the ferry, and we were just kind of enjoying ourselves, and Robin was opening up casks and things, and somebody that I know from Islay messaged and said, "Oh, are you still at Kilhoman?" I'm like, yep. He's like, "What time's your boat?" So we told him. He's like, "Yeah, you need to go. You should have been gone like 15-20 minutes ago." So we just made it to the ferry, but literally lockdown happened like the day after we got back, or a couple of days after. So we would have literally been stuck. It's the worst place to be stuck for like a year of our life, isn't there?
Yeah, I'm sure they would have let you off.
No, I'm sure. I mean, we wouldn't have insisted on it. Like, safety first. Right.
Oh, well, if I have to stay here, just throw me in that briar patch. I will. You
put up in Bowmore House and got a job there. You might
we would have earned our keep.
Might never have seen you again.
That's what happens.
But it is quite funny how just little things like that could make a huge impact on somebody's career, somebody's life. That, if, for example, say that did happen, and you're like, well, we're stuck here for a minimum, because I think originally it was a 3-week lockdown, wasn't it? And it would all blow over in 3 weeks, and it's just a temporary blip. And you imagine getting a job in Bowmore for 3 weeks or Lefroy for 3 weeks. You're like, actually, you know what? I'm going to move back here.
I know, a lot of people decided to move in with people like they were just starting to date, or let's just move in, and like they all stuck together for like a couple of years. So you really have to get to know somebody pretty quick.
Right.
Or quite the opposite. People who were maybe thinking of splitting apart got stuck together and were like, let's make it work.
I know a couple of those.
Yeah. Anyway.
I know. Crazy time.
Guys, do we have anyone? I was going to say anyone still watching it. We clearly do still have people watching. Any questions, guys? Because I know that Leanne has to get back to work. And
to get back to work, how sad is that?
Absolute torture.
Got to pay for whiskey some way.
It's torture for me watching you pour these tiny little drams.
I know.
Away.
They're not going to be tiny when I get over there, Chef. No way.
No. Good. I will make sure that I look out and keep some pretty cracking drams. I'll focus on the indie bottlers, I think, because that's the kind of thing that you're really missing out on.
Very much so, yeah. That'd be awesome.
Definitely. But feel free, guys, just to fire in any other questions that you might have, or thoughts on the chat. It's always great to read your comments. It's all part of the fun. And if you're watching retrospectively, please do feel free to pop your comments in, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. It would be great because we do try and jump back in and see what you've been saying in our absence when we can't reply immediately. So I'm going to ask you a quick question.
Okay.
What is next for Scotch in the Bayou? Are you quite happy doing what you're doing, or do you want to see that grow into something bigger, maybe a career out of it?
Yeah. So I definitely do. Having a full-time job and trying to create the content and all is challenging. But being able to take the trip and to get this content is going to give me a lot to work with, because I want to do more about the education in the sense of letting people know about it, maybe is not too much of the instruction type things, kind of like that you might get at your experience or the Islay Whisky Academy or something like that. But I like to know where I'm going before I get there. So if I can tell somebody about a distillery or, what goes in to the whiskey, because all of this whiskey is handmade. The amount of labor and love that is put into the whole process to create the whiskey, I think that needs to be highlighted. The people need to be highlighted. It's not just some liquid in a bottle, And so I want to do more of that. Where I am, it's very bourbon forward. I mean, we have a whole street in New Orleans called Bourbon Street. It's not called Scotch. So trying to do that education among people around, doing tastings and even working with retailers and with restaurants to help educate them and their staff on what Scotch whiskey is, and probably American single malt whiskey as well, to broaden their perspective of whiskeys, and also to try to make women understand more that you don't necessarily have to be relegated to the vodka or the schnapps aisle. You can drink brown liquor, and it's not something to be afraid of. You certainly don't need anybody's permission. And, I'm kind of a demographic that makes their own decisions and has disposable income. So we are a great market to be marketed to. So, so those are the kind of things that I'm wanting to do. I definitely want to turn this kind of into my retirement, fun stage. I would love to know more about distilleries, but we have lots of rum distilleries here in Louisiana, a couple that do whiskey, but we're in the middle of sugarcane, right? So, I mean, we have sugarcane all in our, that's our biggest crop in Louisiana. Traditionally is our biggest, that and rice. So we have, we make agricole, we make, different types of rum, dark, light. There's a couple really great distilleries that do that. And some of them are playing around with whiskey and some of them are even playing around with single malts. But I would like to do more about trying to just kind of be more education and get people to understand and get away from the misconceptions of Scotch whiskey and see where this might go full time. And really put some great content out there that is resource material, like understanding what you're going to see if you go to Glenfarclas or what you're going to see if you go to Clanleash, things like that.
It's like a pre-visit reading almost. That you get a course for. You go to a course for anything. You get the handbook that you have to read. You could do a pre-itinerary reading. So
yeah,
that sounds like a pretty cool idea.
I want to further my education, because I don't know it all. I don't know anybody that knows it all, and if they do, well, there you go. So
if they know all, they don't get on our chat.
Yeah.
What better reason not to know it all?
Right.
Dominic's on YouTube. He's asking, is Leanne likely to pass by the whiskey shop in person? Not only is she likely to, I'm insisting on it. And if
absolutely.
It takes handcuffs and chains, Rick, not that way. I will take you there.
Rick. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there on the 1st. June 1st. Yep, I'll be there. I had to go look at the thing again. Yeah, I'm so like I said, I'm going to be a kid in a candy store. I am prepared to donate clothes in order to get bottles home.
we have a charity shop right next door, so don't worry.
Okay, we'll make it work. I love it.
Excellent. Well, Leanne, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for the invite.
It's been great to reminisce, catch up, and great to see you do so well.
Thanks. And you too. And you've had a lot of changes since I got to see you last, and lots of wonderful things and new additions into your life. I'm so happy for you.
So I'm keeping this bottle for him because he is my wee mongrel.
Oh,
I'm going to keep that for him for when he's a little bit older, maybe 20 years old, the same as that. And this is his little hat. So I'm not sure we got that.
Oh, neat. Oh,
we haven't got a guest appearance tonight. Usually Killian appears towards the end.
He does. You'll meet him in person, I'm sure.
Awesome.
I'm not sure. I haven't heard any noise from the other room, so I'm hoping he's sleeping.
Just let it go. Sweet dreams, sweetie.
Yeah. It has been.
You're so precious when they're sleeping.
We're quite lucky in his sleep patterns. So in that regard, nothing much has changed. We wake up different, we go to bed different, but that sleeping part is pretty solid and pretty much the same. I noticed the word serious coming up here. Rick has got a serious question. There appears to be a rise in governments around the world slowly introducing. This is a long question. I'm going to put it up for you to read. Around the world, slowly introducing legislation that puts pressure on whiskey industry, demonizing alcohol consumption. Do you have an approach in teaching that puts this into perspective for those who drink? Wow.
Well, I grew up in the Deep South, also known as the Bible Belt, and grew up Baptist, which probably is, and it is not to get on a political high horse here, but morals don't need to be legislated to an extent. That's what we kind of had with prohibition and everything else. I have a great minister friend who points out the fact that Jesus never said don't drink or smoke. Go look in the Bible. It's not in red. It's not there. So I think there are other things that these governments, and entities need to worry about rather than that. It is something you have to watch out for, though, right? I mean, when one particular faction decides they want more power, and that's what it is. It's usually around. That's what all of prohibition in the States was about voting power. Every bit of it was about voting power. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting, but all good things in moderation, including whiskey. Look at that.
There he is.
That's what it's all about, guys.
He's Batman in training.
Oh,
I don't know if you can see that.
Batman is the best.
So just put you on screen so I can see him. I'll see him.
Can I do that?
Yeah.
Oh, there's Kat.
So pick you. I know it's the same thing. So I'm seeing Kat now.
Yeah. So, guys, this is Kat's new hairdo.
I love it.
Not as cute as Killian, I'm afraid.
I think if I do that and drag over. No.
So on yours, like the three dots on your thing.
There we go.
Look, there you go.
There
we go. Look at the baby.
Oh,
he's so big now.
So sleepy.
I know.
Has he just been fed?
He's doing his pose.
He's thinking hard. He's pondering something. Oh, how adorable. Good job, Mike.
That's him. And he's got more hair than me, too.
He does.
Hi, Tony. I heard you giggling in the back there.
Oh, that's a hoot. I'm looking forward to meeting you, Tony. Oh, that's awesome. That's fantastic. It is.
I've learned something new about Zoom today as well.
There you go.
That's great.
Not Zoom, StreamYard.
Yeah, this is the same platform I use.
Hi, Killian.
Oh, there he goes. It's so bright, Daddy. The light's so bright.
He doesn't know what to make of that.
Yeah, he's like, I'm pretty sure there's somebody who looks like me on the screen there. You want to go back to Mum?
That's fun.
There we go. Okay. So yeah, you'll get to meet him in the flesh.
Awesome.
In a week or so.
Yeah.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
2 weeks from today.
2 weeks
on
today.
The 1st.
Awesome.
We'll look forward to it.
I'm just
wait.
Quick.
And Cat's seeing him on Friday.
Look back and see if there's anyone else with lots of awes, and I'm sure that was your hairdo, Kat, that we highlighted.
Worth every penny.
Dominic, good point, Rick, on the question of governments and that. Curious that Scotch is a huge part of the UK economy. That the government in the UK and Scotland hits it with tax. It's we're not going to get into that kind of debate after a drama or two live on the telly.
Yes,
it will just turn into a rant, I assume, and I'm not going to do that. But yeah, thank you so much, Leanne, for joining us. It's been absolute pleasure. I'm gutted that you have to go back to work.
I know. That's okay.
Can't you just say, no, I'm not working this afternoon?
Not live on TV once you just said that. Like, it's out there.
Yeah,
it's out there.
Right.
That's true.
Right. I had sanctioned time off for 2 hours, so it's all good.
Oh wow, we're right on.
We're on Monday night.
Yeah.
We've got 4 minutes. Come on, what can we do for 4 minutes?
That's funny. No, this was wonderful. Thanks for that. I mean, life gets, everybody kind of did their thing, and life gets going, and time passes way too fast. And then with, a global weirdness that we had to all go through, I'm just glad I can finally get back over there. And, that the amount of energy that I'm going to pull out of your country and bring home with me is going to hopefully show up on the Scotch on the Bayou channel in different ways. But
I hope so.
Yeah. And if y'all ever figure out how you can get over on this side of the pond, you got a place to come on down to the Bayou, Shan. We had to pour a dram. Yeah.
We're going to have a dram with alligators.
Yes. Yeah.
There we go.
I'll keep them in bay.
No spiders. Keep the spiders.
I will clear the spiders. I will call up a great blue heron, a catfish, and a couple of gators, and we'll call it good.
Nice. Excellent. Let's do it. Get these
so we've got Dominic is saying we need Ian, asking when you're coming on for part 2. We could certainly organise that. And Dominic is saying he would love to meet you in person. So when we're over, when we know what times you're kind of going to be around, we will let Dominic know, and he can come and catch up in the shop.
Yep, perfect.
Whoa! Hold on. On YouTube, Dominic has just commented that he wrestled an alligator. So, Leanne, you've got 3 minutes left of your 2 hours allocation. I want Dominic to tell us about this. I want to hear this.
Yeah, we need to know about that. So you can wrestle a gator. So the key is you want to keep the mouth closed, because it's easier to keep it closed. That's where their muscles are.
Yeah, they're all like
down, not
downward pressure, aren't they?
Yeah, it was in Florida. Those are wimpy gators.
Oh, Dominic, no. The
closest I got to wrestling an alligator was getting drunkenly stuck, taking off my Lacoste jumper.
That's pretty funny. No, that's pretty impressive. But picture it didn't happen. So
that's true. Yeah, we need a photo, Dominic.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Exactly. I sat on the alligator that held its mouth shut. Was this in a zoo where you were actually just allowed in, and it was like a trained alligator?
Probably a gator farm down there. They do, because part 2 we'll talk about gator farming, because they were almost extinct, and they've been completely done a 180 to where they are allowed to be hunted now, because there's so many, and it can off balance the fish population even. So yeah, we can talk more. Part 2.
Part 2.
Awesome.
We'll book it in.
Very much looking forward to it. Yeah. So he said it was a gator rescue center. He got the sit in his mouth. They took a few pictures and he ran away. But the story is excellent. Yeah. I'm sorry we eked that out of you. We should have just left it at Dominic wrestling a gator.
I feel sad for the gator, though. It's been specifically rescued, and then you come along, sit on it, hold its mouth shut, abuse it for a while. Poor thing.
Let me back into the wild. Come on.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. Excellent.
Perfect.
I'm just going to say cheerio, Leanne, one more time before anyone else throws in another comment there. We are not on the Blether next week. Kat and I have a pretty big tasting event that we are doing next week up at one of our local castles. So we will be there. The week after, I think we have a guest, but that date might change. We certainly have a guest lined up, which we will let you know as soon as it's a surprise. Don't worry, guys. All these Blethers are recorded, so if you need a 2-hour fix next Thursday, just go back and watch one you haven't watched in a while.
Yeah.
There we go. And if you drink enough tonight and forget about it, you can watch this one again next week.
Exactly.
Hashtag responsible drinking.
Yep.
Okay. Right, guys. It's lunch. Leanne, absolute pleasure to catch up. I can't wait to meet you again in person.
Same.
And, Kat, I might catch up with you tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe see you tomorrow if I get out.
See you Friday.
Yeah, hopefully, Tony. I'll see you Friday, hopefully.
Cheerio, guys. Good night.
Slange, y'all.
Bye, guys.
Slange.
Slange.